The Floor Academy podcast is sponsored by Trelama, the trade labor marketplace, where businesses can find skilled trade labor, such as flooring installers, and where flooring installers and other skilled tradespeople can find permanent or project work. You can set up your profile at trelama.com, TRALAMA.com, or download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play. And remember, Trelama is always free for skilled tradespeople. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. We are here talking with flooring professionals from all across the country about the issues that matter to you. I want to encourage you to learn while you earn. This week's guest is Sonny Callaham. Sonny started his flooring career in 1990 as an apprentice to a carpet installer. After a few transitions within the industry, he found his calling on the adhesive side. Now the owner of Divergent Adhesives, he is also the co-founder and chairman of the board for the National Association of Floor Covering Technicians. Listen in to find out what NAFCT has planned to bring the industry together and make it more successful. We discuss what their mission is, who is helping make it happen, and where the value is in being a member. Sonny Callaham, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I could play the nickname game, but I'll leave that up to Paul and for you guys over on the Floored-U podcast.
Yeah, he has a little too much fun with that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of them. So why don't let's start, for those who don't know who you are, let's start with the broad overview of your career, because it's been pretty varied.
Yeah, sure. I'm one of those stories that we try to push every day. I started out as a helper in 1990. Actually, I was a helper before that. It was one of those things where my dad's friend owned a carpet store, and I was there from the time I was 9 years old, rolling up remnants. That's all I knew was flooring. And summertime, I'd work with installers. And once I got out of school, it was a natural progression for me to become an installer. But, I found out pretty quick that installation wasn't going to be something that I was going to do forever. My body couldn't take it. So I made the decision to move inside, and I was a service manager for a flooring company in Orlando, Spraggins Flooring, and did that for about a year. Realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. And yeah, it's tough being a project. Then I was a project manager for a couple of years. Realized, no, that's really not what I wanted to do. And actually went to leave the flooring industry in 2005 and actually got in law enforcement for a year. And while I was doing that, I was a manufacturer's rep for a couple of lines. And that's where Parachem, which is Parabond Adhesives, that's when they picked me up. I was their technical manager, and they moved myself and my family up to South Carolina, and we haven't looked back. We love it up here. I've since left Parachem through their acquisitions. And now I own my own adhesive company, Divergent Adhesives, and I'm the chairman of the board for NAFCT. And, as I told you earlier, I'm living a dream.
Well, it sounds like it. And it's nice to hear that, a lot of people think you can install flooring, or you can sell flooring, or you can run a store, right? Like those are kind of your options. And that's
Right.
not the case. There's so many other positions out there from so many other companies, man. You can be a trainer, you can be a salesperson, you can be a technical rep. Look, you could go to school and start learning chemistry, and you could be the guy that makes the glue.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no other industry that has so many opportunities that if you start in one position, you have a heads up advantage over other people. So if you start with installation and you understand what it takes for a good installation to happen, your career path is endless. You can go into technical, as you say, sales. You can go into on the operations side because you got to make sure the material is there and you know what material needs to be there. You literally can find anything in the industry that you like to do, and again, you'll have the advantage because you know installation.
Yeah, I think it's huge. Like more and more salespeople I notice are becoming installers. More of the manufacturers are hiring ex installers to be their reps, their sales reps and their technical reps in the field. And I think it goes a long way. I think it helps build a better relationship with the installers out in the field. I think it lets them better sell the product, not only to the installer that they're trying to push it to, but it helps them go into a distributor and sell the product, right? Like they're good at sales because they were probably running their own company and they know how to sell, but then they know how to go and talk to an installer and be like, hey, this is just a good product and here's why it's going to make your job easier.
Right. Yeah. Installers will see right through a salesperson. I mean, I've seen so many salespeople try to go out there, and especially if they try to do a demo and they've never installed flooring in their life, they get eaten up by installers. It's quite funny to watch, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So when you have that installation background and you can speak to an installer, um, they literally speak their own language, and then you have salespeople speaking their language, and then you have R&D who speaks a different language, and
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes the technical rep or like kind of what I was, you're kind of the liaison between all these people because they all speak different languages.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. All right. So you'd mentioned NAFCT, which is you changed. So it's now the National Association of Floor Covering Technicians, correct?
Correct.
Oh, man, I got it right. Yes.
You got it right the first try.
Okay. And so you and Paul Pleshek pivoted on that, and it was like, not that it's not a training thing still, but it's now instead of being for profit, it's not for profit,
Right.
and you are trying to work on getting certifications recognized by the industry as well as many other things. So why don't let's talk brief overview of what you're trying to accomplish.
Sure, sure. And I'll start with, what NAFCT was. What it was before was a for-profit school. And what we did is we taught certifications through the IICRC for inspectors. So, we were about curriculums, we were about processes. There's very specific things you have to do through the IICRC to be a school for them. So we've got a good background of what needed to be done. There was just some things that we felt like we could do a little bit better. So when we started putting our heads together, strategizing on what we can do, the natural progression was to become a trade association.
Okay.
And in order to do that, the best way to do it would be to be a nonprofit. So we're a 501c6. We could have been a for-profit trade association, but to be honest, that's not why we're doing it. We really are trying to do this because Paul and I share the dream, no other way to put it, the dream of bettering our industry.
Mm-hmm.
We want to help installers, one, get off their feet if they want to, help them with a career path anywhere into the industry they want to go. We want to bring new people into the industry. We want to train the people who are already in the industry that have I won't say no idea, but they weren't properly trained to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. So there's too many times where the guy goes, that's the way my uncle taught me, and he's been doing it like that for 30 years. I hear that once a month, literally. So
I could hear it every day, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just they were taught wrong, and they know just enough to get by, and the job is just good enough, right? And so when something does go wrong and we go out there and as a manufacturer or as an inspector or whoever, we go out there and look at it and we start picking these things apart, it's the smallest of details that gets the installer in trouble, which they think we're nitpicking. But the reason we have to have those guidelines is because if those things add up, you're going to have a failure.
Yeah.
And it's got to be done correctly, or you're going to have a problem.
Totally
And it's
agree.
not a problem till it's a problem, right? Isn't that what they say?
Well, I mean, it comes down to this. So I did an episode a while back with Paul. We were talking about inspectors and things like that. And it's, look, you can either do it according to the manufacturer's instructions and get the warranty, or you can do it the way you want to do it and your bank account's the warranty. So which way do you want it?
Right.
It's that
Right.
simple.
Yeah, you've got to mitigate your risk as an installer. And that's really not something that installers typically know or understand. And so that's really, one of the things that we want to focus on with NAFCT is not just teaching them the hand skills of what they need to put the flooring in, but we want to teach them business skills.
Yes.
Some of the things that we're going to offer for our members at no cost: how to do your taxes. There'll be a class on that. How to do proper bookkeeping, so you know what's going on, where your expenses, what's a true expense and what's not an expense. What can you write off? People are trying to write off rooms in their house. That's a big red flag for the IRS. You've got to, you can't call it just your office. There's very specific rules that you need to know. And,
Yep.
I say it plenty of time. There's nothing more frustrating to me than losing a good installer to any kind of desk job or something outside the industry because he couldn't pay his taxes. He owes the IRS $30,000, so he can't install anymore.
Yeah.
We need as many installers as we can get. So let's try to help them and keep them on track.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, that's part of the mission of this podcast, is that we teach the business side of the business, because let's be honest, most installers are great with their hands and at the trade, but they suck on the business side because they were never taught. No one knew how to teach them because the last guy that taught them sucked at it as well. So there's some people are meant to be employees, some people are meant to run a business, and I think there needs to be, you start getting that education and you realize, like, oh man, like, being your own boss isn't all it's cracked up to be sometimes. So I think that's great that you want to incorporate that in. I have a recommendation, and it kind of came to me in the past couple days here as I've been thinking about new podcast episodes to do and looking at some of the stuff that's going on in the online community groups, is that if you could offer some mental health training in there as well, I think that would go a long way, so that we get the trade side, we get the business side, we get the mental health side. You could offer some physical health education stuff too. That way you're kind of getting a very well-rounded thing going on. But I think there's a lot of mental health issues that affect contractors just because you get stressed out, right? Like you're trying to do your family, you're trying to run this business, you're trying to get the install done. And a lot of guys are one-man shows, and it can wear you down real quick.
Kyle, that's a fantastic idea. I just wrote that down. But I think that's something that a lot of people in our industry could benefit from.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you an example. There's Jose up in, gosh, I can't think of his last name, Ortiz Bacon. He has a program at Allstate Floors up in Maryland. It's called Run, Hope, Work. And this young man is amazing. He gets people who are down on their luck, homeless,
Mm-hmm.
don't have jobs, don't have a skill, and he brings them in and he trains them in basic construction work, cleanup, basic drywall, painting, how to properly prep a floor. But the big focus of what he does is he gets them physically fit, and he works on mental health, because
Okay.
his guideline is, if you're not right in the body and in your mind, you're not going to be able to do anything. Right.
Yeah.
So it's essentially, it works out to be a rehab. And I hope I'm not misspeaking about his program, but it turns out to be almost like a rehab for these folks. And, you've got to get your mind right if you want to get your body right. Right.
No, yeah, no, I totally agree. That sounds great. That's an awesome program. I'll have to reach out and try and get that contact info. I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be a great guest for you. He's just a cool guy, and he's got a fantastic story.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. But yeah, I'd love to see, like, I know you guys got a lot going on, but I think, trying to get that well-rounded picture in, because if you're going to set somebody up, right, like, and that's what you're talking about doing, is you're trying to set people up for success. If you give them 2 out of 3 areas or 2 out of 4 areas, let's get the rest. And I'm not knocking your program, obviously, but it's
No,
just pointing things
that's a
out.
great
And yeah.
idea. But look, that's why we have, you know, when it was the school, the for-profit school, it was Paul and I, and we
Mm-hmm.
made daily decisions on what we were going to do. When we decided to make it a nonprofit, one of the big reasons we decided to do that was that we knew we would have a board of directors. So we have surrounded ourselves with some of the smartest industry professionals that we know.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have pointed things out to us that we would have never thought to have. And not only did we bring professionals from flooring in, we've got 3 PhDs on the board, all with wood science. One from the University of Oregon, one from Mississippi State, one from teaches at University of Wisconsin, and they've taught us things about how to educate, diversity statements, how to get grants, all these things that, we said it the other day, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So surrounding yourself with people who know more than you is the smartest thing anyone can do.
That's
Right? I don't
yeah.
mind being the dumbest person in the room. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do these days, right? Like, once I realized, look, I'm a mediocre installer. I'm a mediocre businessman. I'm pretty mediocre at most things I do. I'm not going to lie. But once I got over, like, trying to that I would never be the greatest, I was like, hey, look, there's people that are better, and I realized that all you have to do is ask them and they're willing to help you. And it's pretty amazing. And so I just keep, like you said, I just keep trying to be the dumbest person in the room. Because if you find yourself that you're the smartest person in the room, like, that's not bad to, like, go and mentor people. It's not, like, you have to give back, and, like, you need to learn those leadership skills and things like that. But you can't stay there, because then you're just going to end up in that trap and end up back at that level. So you have to keep progressing, which means you need to constantly look for the people that are doing better than you and where you want to be.
No, absolutely. I've had a lot of mentors. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've had a few mentors that have really taught me a lot. And not to be a downer on the show, but I have to mention Steve Worthy. He was a chemist for Parachem. He taught me everything I know about adhesives, and he passed away this week.
Mm.
And just a fantastic guy. If you ever used a Parabond adhesive, he touched it. You saw his work. And anybody who knows Parabond, and this is a plug for them because I sell against them, they've always had premium products, and that was because of Steve Worthy. So, but there's people like Steve, and there's people like Sim Chrysler, Peter Craig, people who are veterans of the industry who, if you just take the time to sit down and talk with them, they will teach you things that you never dreamed you would know.
Yeah.
So with Sim Chrysler, whenever we go to FCICA, we have this little group that we go out and we smoke cigars at night, sit by the fire wherever we are, and have a cigar together. And 4 or 5 of us just shut up while Sim teaches us stuff. We ask him questions and he tells us.
Yeah.
It's and that kind of education is priceless. That's why these associations are so good. I mean, the training they have at FCICA is good. The training we have is good. Training at CFI is good. But it's the networking you get from CFI, from FCICA, from NAFCT. It's that networking and that personal relationship that you get. And it might just be with one person and you just click with them and then they just teach you all their knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Or it's the other way. You find somebody new in the industry and you latch onto them and you train and mentor them. So it's so much more about the training. It's about relationships. And that's the biggest thing I'd want to tell people about NAFCT. You know what? Some people are going to go through our classes and you'll learn the 1 or 2 things. All right. We'll show you a trick or two to make your life easier. but we're not reinventing the wheel. There's only a certain way to do it, but you're going to learn that one thing that's going to make your life easier. But you're going to make a relationship with the instructors, with other people in the class, and that's what you're going to carry on from job to job. And you're going to go, wait, we talked about that. This guy does that. I'll call him. Or he's the tech guy from the company that I'm using this product for. I'll call them. And you have a direct connection with these people instead of calling a 1-800 number that's somewhere on a piece of literature.
Yeah. No, it's totally like I went to my first CFI cert this year in January before everything shut down. And I had a great time meeting a bunch of people and going through the class. And I knew from talking with people that like, okay, great, I get this certification. I can use it to like advertise and sell my business. But I knew that the people that were willing to spend money on a certification, miss days of work, not run their company, right? Like all these negatives that everyone always talks about. If you're willing to do those things, you've got a different mindset about this business.
Absolutely.
You have to go to these things. Like anybody that puts up a fight about it, you're in the wrong business and you're not going to go very far, in my opinion, because you're too close-minded. Like these connections that you're going to make by networking with these people, like you said, that's the part that matters.
Well, the people who decide to not go to these classes and adamantly say they don't need to go to these classes, they are very predictable. We can predict the mistakes they're going to make, right? We know it because they just don't know. They don't understand what, we were talking about it the other day. We were talking about grassroots, right? What happens before, what happens after the installer. They don't understand. When I talk about tools in your toolbox are not necessarily a hand tool. It's ASTM standards. Mm-hmm. They don't know what ASTM F710 is or F1869 or F2170. They don't know what that is, so they can't make sure they protect themselves and mitigate their warranty, mitigate their issues they can have by properly preparing the floor.
Yeah.
It's just predictable, and it's sad. Because it would be an easy way for them to just not get themselves in trouble. And one of the funniest things that I see on social media is, I got to be careful and choose my words because I know we have social media guests here. I mean, listeners. Transitions, not following transitions, the proper transition between any type of floor, right? It could be a control joint transition. It could be from one type of floor to the other. Once you deviate from what that manufacturer recommends, you own that floor. It doesn't matter what happens, right?
Yeah.
If anything changes, and it could be due to manufacturer defects on the floor, they're going to walk in and go, nope, you didn't do that right. We're walking away.
Correct.
Why would you take that risk? It's silly. So, there's just little things that anyone can do to make their lives easier.
Totally agree. All right. So we're getting a little off track and I love where we're going, but let's get back to NAFCT. So you guys are on a mission. You're going to do training. You're going to, whether it's on the business side, it's on the like actual hands-on side. What do you have in place right now?
So right now we have 37 classes, I think, that we're going to have ready for 2021. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do our substrate and subfloor class. What is a proper wood substrate? What is a proper concrete substrate? Concrete basics, things like that. And then we're going to do what are proper underlayments, how to prep the floor, how to check it for moisture. It's going to be a very specific certification just for substrates.
Okay.
Because if we don't get the substrate right, it doesn't matter what happens on top of it. Because, if that's not right, nothing moving forward is going to be right. So
yeah, prep is key, right? Like if you screw up the prep, everything's screwed.
Everything's screwed up. And so not only are we going to have that, we're going to have installation training for carpet, installation training for resilient ceramic tile and wood. for on the basic level, and then advanced. So it's the basic level is almost I hate to use the term helper, but an introductory lesson, so you can familiarize yourself with the job site. You'll know what to do. You'll know the safety measures that you need to take, things like that.
Okay.
But not only are we going to have that for installation, we're also going to have all those categories for inspectors, right?
Okay.
So we want to have all those 5 programs: carpet, wood, resilient, ceramic, and substrates for that. We're going to also have that for maintenance, obviously not for substrate, but the other programs we'll have for maintenance. We're also going to have retail sales training. So how do we train an installer to take that jump inside to either, to sell the product themselves, to have a showroom to sell it themselves, to go work for someone else and sell products. Again, with that installation background, they can see things and make sure the job goes better than someone with just a sales background who knows how to sell, catch up to people in white gloves, whatever that saying from Tommy Boy was. But, we can teach them how to do the training side of it because, they know the installation side already.
Man, you guys got it going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. I got to rag on you a little bit though. All right.
Uh-oh.
And this is a pet peeve. They're not helpers. They're apprentices until they prove otherwise.
Well, technically, they're not an apprentice until they're in an official program, and we don't have an apprentice program yet. We're working on that. We're working with a group, but yeah, I know the term helper is non-PC, so that's why I cringed when I said it. Put it in air quotes. You just didn't see me.
Okay, got it.
Introductory flooring professional.
There you go.
NIFCT.
Okay, I'll buy that. No, I just, oh man, it's one of those terms, right? Like you can't aspire to anything being a helper. Like here's a broom, go sweep the room. Like move those boxes. Like that's what a helper does. And I
Right.
think until they prove that they don't want to like aspire to do anything more, then that's when you can start calling them a helper. But until then, like personally, if I hire somebody, like they get called an apprentice, and that way, like I think it can build them up better, gives them something to look forward to.
Sure. For me, I was definitely a helper. I didn't make my first seam in carpet till I was with the guy at least 2 years. I did a lot of things before I touched that seaming iron. So, it's, I was fortunate enough to have an old school guy train me. And, so again, he took the slow path for me, and it seemed to work.
Well, I think that just last week the episode came out. Andy McWilliams and I were talking about that. You gotta train them up right. Don't let them. I don't want anyone to hold somebody back that's willing to learn, but you need to make sure that they're not running off on their own and starting out when they don't have all the knowledge. They have to understand how to get from A to Z, but not steps A and Z. They need B through Y as well. So.
Right.
He probably made sure that you had B through Y really well before he gave you Z.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's that's exactly what we're trying to do with NAFCT is give them the business acumen that they need to be successful, right? Because if you understand that, you can spend less time on it. Right? Because if you don't understand it, you're going to spend more time on it than you should, which would take away from you being able to make the income to begin with. So it's a double-edged sword there. So if you can reduce the time that you do it, you'll like it better, and for 2, it'll go easier. So
yeah,
it's kind of a no-brainer. But there's so much, like you said, there's so much more to being an installer than showing up to a job site and putting in some flooring that was dropped off there by somebody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It does. Oh, especially if you're running your own show, you are installer last and you are businessman first, which most people don't realize. So my understanding is that this isn't just going to be NAFCT putting on these classes. You're actually trying to partner up with NWFA, CFI, CTEF. I don't know, maybe NALFA if they're still around. I think they are. But anyway, like you're gonna work with everybody to use what they already have in place and still certify through that. But like that, is that correct?
No, absolutely. It's that's one thing that we take really serious. Paul and I, we've actually got it in our mission statement, and we talk to we make sure our board understands it and everyone involved understands it. Before we launched this thing, we got on the horn and we called all these other trade associations. Hey, this is what we're getting ready to do. We want to do the introduction. We want to tell you how we're different, what our goals are, and how we can work together. And for the most part, we were just completely well received, and it was just a great program or a great process. But the way we look at things is we can't do it by ourselves. Those other groups can't do it by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And with them being an island over here and somebody else being an island over there, and then we're the island in the middle spot there, nobody's going to get anything done. We've got to unite, right? If this person
100%.
has the best wood program, that's where we need to send people for wood. Same with carpet, same with ceramic tile, same with resilient. We need to focus on where it works best and how it works best for the installer, the inspector, the salesperson, anybody who's in the industry. How do they get the training they need? That's by working together.
I agree. And that's one thing I've noticed is that a lot of these associations are all kind of on their own and they all have their own thing going on, and they're not necessarily working together to make, I mean, they're working to make the industry better, but they're not working together to make the industry better. And
Sure.
it's disheartening because they all have great missions. They all have great goals, but at the end of the day, they all kind of fall short because they're all kind of looking out for themselves is what it appears from the outside.
Well, I don't know if it's that far, but I'll give you an example. The FCICA, I love FCICA. I've been a part of them a long time, but they have. If you want to be a project manager, you go to FCICA. That's the place to go. What good would I do to the industry if I started teaching a project manager class? I mean, there's already one right there. It's
Mm-hmm.
been in existence for 8 years now, I think 7 years. But why doesn't another group go, okay, you're done with my training. Next step, a natural transition, natural progression is to project manager. FCICA has this program. I haven't seen that happen yet. Us, I'm not saying we're better or anything. Don't
Mm-hmm.
don't take this the wrong way. We'll do that. Hey, you want to go to an advanced class in wood? Go to NWFA or go to one of Jenny Riddle's classes. I think it's IWFA.
Yeah.
I don't know.
International Wood Flooring Association.
Yeah.
Yes.
So go to one of those classes. I'll never be able to teach you something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But here's what we have. You want to take an advanced carpet class. You want to know about woven carpets. You go talk to Mr. Arthur, PJ Arthur.
Oh, yeah.
He's the freaking man, right? So, I mean, why would I even attempt to do something like that? So understand our strengths, understand what we can all do together, and then understand how we can unite and promote things together. Because if I'm going out and going, oh yeah, don't use NWFA, they're good, and they're going, oh, don't use NAFCT, we're hurting both of us.
Correct.
Neither one of us win. And luckily we've got a great relationship with NAFCT. Brett Miller and Paul, they're on the phone. They've been on multiple phone calls talking about what we can do together.
Awesome.
How can we do events together? And it's like, that's exactly what we're looking for.
Yes.
And those are the wins that we're celebrating now, because technically we haven't even started yet, and we'll get into all that here later on. But that's kind of where we are as far as setting everything up, be talking to the other associations, and we are gonna work our hardest to bring everybody together.
No, I love it. Because even within the industry as installers, like, right, you have sand and finish guys are generally a breed of their own, and they are sand and finish guys to the core. And then
Sure.
you've got tile installers that are tile installers, carpet guys are carpet guys, and then you've got some hard surface people, you've got people that do everything. But a lot of times there's not this like crossover. And so if you guys could kind of be in the middle and you're representing the industry as a whole and really pushing it. And you can get some tile guys to know that, like, hey, if you get involved with NAFCT, there's some really good wood stuff. And this tile guy happens across a wood guy that's struggling, and they can recommend it out. Like, it's exactly what you need. Like, everyone needs to be looking out for everyone instead of being like, well, my surface is the best. And sometimes that happens. Like, there's a lot of cocky installers out there.
No, say it isn't so.
I know, right?
Well, I mean, again, career path. I say it 100 times a day. If I'm helping someone one-on-one talking about a career path and they want to do something that we don't have, or somebody does it better than what we have, I'm going to tell them to go there. What am I doing to this person if I give him, oh no, don't do that class because NAFCT doesn't have it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not helping the industry when I do that, right? So you gotta take the selflessness, and you've gotta be able to just put your pride on the side and know what's best for who you're dealing with. So. I don't know. It's kind of, you talked about pet peeve before. That's one of my pet peeves. It drives me crazy.
Correct. I mean, let's help the industry. Let's build it up. As Mr. Ballin loves to say, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah, he got that from Paul. Paul's been saying that for years.
Everybody's it's all over the place.
I'm just kidding. I know. I'm just kidding.
I know. I had Mr. Humphreys on from WFCA. He said it. So maybe Ken stole it from him.
But I mean, it's true. It's the simplest of statement, but it's true, right? Mm-hmm. It's and I'm glad he says it, and I'm glad Paul says it, and it's really valid point.
Yes,
for sure.
All right, so you've got this comes out December 30th, so you guys are still technically going to be accepting founding members as up to the 31st, if I remember.
Up to the 31st, we will accept founding members, and founding members are our educational partners who've helped us set up and essentially set up our back office to get everything ready for our big 1/1/21 launch. So
all right.
January 1st. 2021, that's our big opening day. You thought you saw a lot of ads about us last month. You're going to see even more. We're going to be all over the place. You're going to go, NAFCT sucks. Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. You're going to be like, I've seen enough of this. But I mean, that's just how we're going to do it. And the educational partners that we have, like I said, they really stepped up. Some of them are on our board. Some of them are not on our board of directors. But they've really stepped up to help us get this thing up and going. And without them, we wouldn't be here for sure.
Okay. So anybody listening that is not involved with NAFCT and has a major influence at any of the major manufacturers, you've got 24 hours to get them a check.
That's right. If you just tell me you want to do it, we'll accept it. But we do have to have the cutoff of the first, because obviously that wouldn't be fair to the other people. But if you don't mind, I'd like to run through those founding members.
Please.
There's only 10 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the very first one was Ardex. We've talked about Ardex even when we were a for-profit school. They helped us put classes on. And when we say for-profit, we didn't make any money, trust me. But Ardex, Mapei, Novalis is one, Divergent is one, H.B. Fuller Tech, Shernox, which is HPS Subfloors, Latacrete, Lobavocal, Ropey, and Wagner Meters. Oh, and ISE Logic. They were the last ones that just won, ISE Logic.
Okay.
So we've, without the support of those companies, we would not be here, and we wouldn't be launching on 1/1/21.
You got lots of big names in there.
Well, when we've been talking about this for a couple of years, and we had the idea, we started talking to people, and everyone we spoke to about it was like, oh my gosh, that's a game changer. Whatever we can do to help. And so during COVID, we call NAFCT was our COVID side hustle, because we had time sitting at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, you know what, let's do it. Let's put this all together. And, we started calling people, say, this is what we're going to do. This is what we need. And like I said, Ardax and Novalis, they were the first two. I mean, literally the day we started calling, they were like, what can we do to help? So they,
I I gotta point it out, but Novalis is the only flooring manufacturer.
Ropey. Ropey's the other one.
Well, but they're not. They don't make flooring though, do they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that I didn't know. I knew they'd made transitions.
Oh, no. They
Okay.
make rubber flooring, vinyl flooring. They actually have
Well,
4 or
that's
5
this.
six
Yeah.
divisions.
Well, that's why.
Vinyl
See,
tile.
I don't do any of that stuff. That's not my area.
No, and to be honest, these are the people that I'm the closest with, right? So, we have a group text that we talk about, um, all the time. So there's Kevin from Novalis, there's Brent from Ropey, there's Jason Spangler from Wagner, there's Don from Lobovaco, myself, a couple other guys. We talk every day. We're all technical guys, and we talk every single day. So the first thing I did, put it in that group text. I want to do it. I'm ready to move, and they're like, "Come on, let's do it. I'll help you."
Awesome.
We've since had other people. We have other manufacturers who have agreed to come on board. They just didn't want to be associate members. So they're on
Okay.
our committees. They're helping to write the curriculum. So on 1/1/21, we'll make the announcement of all those other members that we have.
Okay. Sounds good. I mean, I got to assume there's got to be more flooring manufacturers involved. Like you guys are pretty connected and whatnot. So
Well, we're fortunate enough that when, pre-COVID and hopefully post-COVID, I mean, it's the same group of people we see 10, 15 times a year at different trade associations, meetings, ASTM. We see each other. We run in the same circle because, when we're talking about the issues that technical people have, if you're not one of those technical people, you really can't relate to what we're complaining about, because usually we're complaining to each other. So we tell funny stories that things happens, and can you believe they asked me this? And one of the funniest ones that I tell all the time is, I actually had somebody call me one time and say, "Hey, what's the best adhesive you have for putting VCT on the bottom of the swimming pool?"
no.
I swear to God, that was the answer I got. The question I got. My response to that was, call Tom Pope over at Taylor Tools. He's got a couple of options for you.
Oh my goodness.
Tom has
Okay.
since retired, but I mean, it's those are the kind of things we deal with.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm a baby, but just no. Oh, that's funny. Okay. So you've got your founding members, you've got support from major players in the industry. You are looking to better the installer though. So what is the cost to the installer?
Okay, so the way this is going to work is, for the installer, is that there's going to be a one-time yearly membership fee. So for a year membership fee, it's $100
Okay.
for an installer. If you're a contractor and you have more than 3 employees, then it's, I think we said $250, but you don't quote me on that, but $250. And what that does is that gets you access to our online classes that we have, which, they're all going to be free to our members. And that'll be the wood substrate, the concrete basics, the business acumen, the accounting, safety videos, things like that. You're going to have full access to. And, so what we just wanted to keep the cost for the installer as low as possible.
Okay.
So we're going to have educational partners who are the associate members, and beneficiary partners who are probably associate members, and distributors who will carry the brunt of keeping the organization up and going. We want to try to get as many people in the program as we can so they can take advantage of the classes that we have.
Okay. So $100 gets me some classes. So I got to ask, will it work like, I know NWFA University, if you go through a bunch of the curriculum, then you get like a badge, and you can take that badge and you can put it on your website and say, "Hey, look, I'm really smart. I learned all this stuff." So will you have something like that?
So the what we're going to have on our website is everyone who is a member of NAFCT will have their own page on our website,
Okay.
and it'll be sorted by location and by the flooring that you install. So if somebody comes to our website and says, "Oh, I need a resilient guy in Atlanta," they click on Atlanta, they look at the installers. There'll be 10 installers there, and 5 do wood, 3 do ceramic, and 2 do resilient. And you open those up, Ted on the left, he may have 15 badges from NAFCT and NWFA and anywhere else,
Yeah.
all listed on our page, and the other guy may have 1.
Okay.
Right? So you can compare who looks like they would do a better job, and it's all right there on the page. And again, we're going to recognize other people's certifications. We're going to list that on there. An installer can use that link to advertise. They can put it on their business card, so somebody can go right to their page on our website and just shows all the things that I've done. These are all the classes I've got, badges, certificates, whatever you want to call them. They're all going to be listed on that page for you to see.
Okay. I like it. I like it. $100 isn't a lot of money. So I think that's a good deal. Are you guys going to do any advertising and like AdWords through Google or anything like that to push your directory out there so consumers can find it?
Right. So we have a 2-step process for that. For one, I'll start with, we have a marketing duo of Tracy Muller and Sarah Fike, who are just amazing people. They're working on all this marketing for us. That's what they're doing. But we kind of have a 2-step process that we're going to do, and how we're going to get to market is one, we want to build the base of the number of certified installers that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If at the end of the year we have 100 certified installers, we've got no leverage. So if we get the 16,000 that we're projected to get, which is my plan, and I have a strategy to get there, if we get the 16,000, then we can start going back to the manufacturers and say, "Hey, look, you need to require a certified installer to put your flooring in if somebody wants a warranty."
Mm-hmm.
Not NAFCT, not just NAFCT, not just CFI, not just NWFA, but a combination of all of us. Then we have enough people. But if we only have a couple of thousand people who are certified in any given flooring category, the flooring manufacturer can't require that. The cost of their goods will be driven up too high, and they'll lose their sale.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to get the army, is what I call them. We've got to get our army of installers who are certified through CFI, through NAFCT, through NWFA, get them all certified, get them together, get them on a platform to where the consumer can go, or the contractor or the dealer or the person selling a job who may be an installer knows that, hey, I can prove that I'm certified. This is where you find a certified installer, and it's all right there at your fingertips.
Okay. I like it. I like what sold me on you guys, and what I really love is that you're pushing to get the manufacturers to push that you have to be trained to do the installation. I love that. I think it's very much needed in this industry because, chucking a truck isn't doing what somebody that's invested time and money to go to a training class or certification class is doing. Not that all chucking a trucks are bad. There's probably some chucking a truck that does amazing work, but as a generalization,
sure,
the handyman's a hack, and the professional that's taken training is doing quality work that shouldn't fail. So if we can push this agenda and get the manufacturers to say you have to have training, we can push this stuff. So on the back end of that, how are you going to handle people? Like, just because you go to the class and pass it doesn't mean you're doing it. So if you have a failure, do you have ways that you're putting in place that you'll revoke a certification and say, look, you're done because you're not doing it right?
No, absolutely. Not only will we have that for the installers, where, a lot of what we're going to be teaching these folks is, where do you get the information that you need? Because information in our industry is changing daily, weekly, monthly.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to show you where to get that information. And if you're not getting that information and adapting to the information and following that information, yes, your certification will be revoked. Not only that, but we also hold that for our trainers. We are going to monitor the test grades for each trainer and look, and if they consistently have people who are not passing the class, we have steps in place to go audit the class for step one, step two, suspend them, retrain them, blah blah blah, and then step three, they won't be able to train anymore. So we have these specific steps in place to make sure that the education gets to the installer and it's not watered down by the time it gets to the installer.
Okay. I like it. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this episode is because like I was on the fence about giving you guys $100. I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't know what I was getting. I was like, $100 isn't a lot of money, and like, okay, it's $100 I'm not gonna have to pay taxes on because it's a business expense. But where's the value? I was like, what am I really getting? So,
well, and I think for a lot of people, just the tax class and the business class that you'll be able to take for free online will be worth $100.
oh yeah, for sure,
Right.
I get it.
And then everything else is gravy after that.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't know there was going to be that many online classes. So I love what I'm hearing, and I think there's more than $100 worth of value. So if my understanding is that you have to pay the $100 in order to go to any class that NAFCT is going to hold.
Right. So you have to be a member to attend the class, and then once you take the class, you're eligible to take the exam. Some classes will be free. Some classes will be $100. Some classes will be $1,000. Who knows?
Yeah.
Just because of the certification. Like if we do something with PJ Arthur at NFIC, he's gotta get paid for his services, so he would get paid, right? So some classes will cost money. The only other fee that the installer will have, and I'll make sure I make this clear, is when you do take an exam for a class that you go to, if you want to be certified in it, there'll be it depends on the class, but most of them are going to be like $20 a module, $30 a module, if for you to pass and move on to the next one, because the substrate is going to be a prerequisite for pretty much any way you want to go. Resilient, heat weld. If you want to go into any of the other programs that we have, you kind of got to start with that one.
Okay.
So
fair enough. I mean, look, I get it. It takes time. It takes money to put all this stuff together and get it done. And it's not going far. And if you guys are not for profit at this point, then the money's got to be reinvested into bettering the community. So you're not running off with it, right? You're not lining your pockets. Right. So if you got 16,000 installers all to take the substrate class and you got $20 a person, like that money's not going in Sonny and Paul's pocket, people. So don't think they're going to get rich overnight and run off and start hanging out in the Bahamas or something.
Absolutely. That was one thing we realized we had to get a money guy. And so, if I can give that advice to anybody who's listening right now, if you're an installer, if you're a business owner, if you're an inspector, if you don't know how to absolutely 100% account for your money, get you a money person that you can trust. It made a world of difference in my life about 10 years ago when I met my money guy, Grant Rumsey. He takes care of everything I have now, and it took the stress off of my life. I don't have to worry about it. He doesn't. I just give him the bucket full of receipts, and he takes care of it. Right.
And it's worth every penny.
It's worth every single penny that you do. So it's just really important that you do that. You have that. But, being a nonprofit, there are very specific rules that we have to follow. And if we don't follow those, we lose our nonprofit status. So like he said, it's, we're not making any money on this other than, a regular living.
Yeah.
So, or that's Paul, I should say.
Well, he's got a bunch of kids to feed, so I get it.
Yeah, he does.
He's got a whole army up there. He's going to have a whole inspecting team one day.
That's right.
Man, where are we at here? Okay. A little bit more. I am. I don't know. Did we cover it? What do you got for me? Because I'm kind of out of questions. I like what I'm hearing. I like what you guys are aiming to do. I like the setup. It's a reasonable cost for what you're getting, even if you have to pay to get the certifications once you go to a class. And I understand that's not going to be all of them, right? Like if I pay to go to a CFI class through you guys, I automatically get that certification. Or if I go to an NFIC class with PJ, I've already paid, I get that certification. So you have some things that require some money to take a test and get the
Right.
cert, and other things
Right.
it's
Right.
already paid for.
Yeah. With NFIC, that would be covered in that. Right now, we don't have any classes with CFI or with NWFA.
Yeah.
We're working to get that. How are we going to make it? Because they're a nonprofit as well, but they need to make income. We need to make income. So we're working out the details with that. But our classes will be, if I had to guess, I would say 95% of them will be free to the attendees. Like for the accounting class and the taxes and bookkeeping class, there's no test for that. So you're not paying a certification.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to certify you in bookkeeping, right? We're not going to do that. Or safety. Those are just benefits that you can watch. And but one of the other things that we have, and we're already starting to build, is we're going to have the largest webinar library that's out there. So when our manufacturing partners have some training that they want to give, they can make a webinar and then they'll put it on our website and we can host that and members have access to it.
Okay. It's you guys are trying to be like Command Central.
We are.
And I think that's highly needed because there's an alphabet of acronyms out there.
Yes.
And it gets very confusing. And then just trying to go around and find all this stuff. You can get lost very quickly and misled. So just to know that there's one spot to go, it makes it so much easier.
I agree. There's a lot of things out there. It was funny. One of our board of directors meeting, Jason Spangler said that. He goes, "You're trying to be everything to everybody." I go, we're going to try to be as much as we can to as many people as we can. That's my goal. I can't be everything to everybody, but we are going to, as you say, kind of take the helm and see what we can do to get these people together, get the associations to work together, get installers into the program that they want to be in to move forward in their career path. Get new people into this program, into floor covering. We have some government feeder programs that we're talking to. We have some nonprofit, we talk about AMI Kids a lot. We do programs with them. The Run Hope work, we're going to bring those people in and we're going to train them in flooring if they want it. So we have, not only bringing new people into the industry, but we're also going to train the people who are there. So it's kind of a twofold thing that we're doing.
Love it. And I mean, I'm with you. Like so earlier this year when COVID hit, I know like I went looking around and I don't remember why I ended up on Floor Covering News or Floor Covering Weekly or I don't know, and one of those sites. And I'm poking around because I don't run a retail store, so I don't generally pay attention to what goes on those websites. And so I'm poking around, and all of a sudden, there's an announcement in the paper that says, "Hey, Wagner is giving away their cert on Rapid RH. Like because of COVID, you can watch it and it's free, and they'll send you the cert in the mail. Like just watch the videos and take the test." And I was like,
right.
"Oh, this is awesome." But nowhere online did I see anywhere about it. It was mentioned there, but it's because I went digging around for like weird things. And so, I went and I made a post in probably the Floor Academy group and probably in like Flooring Installers of America, like, "Hey, this exists. Go take advantage of it." And got it out there.
Sure.
But Wagner wasn't out there like actively promoting it in the groups. And that I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but social media can do a lot for you. There's a lot of active guys that care about this stuff in the social media groups. And so to get somebody in there, like pushing this stuff out would be great for you. But to know that hopefully in the future, like I can go to your website and I can pull information from all these sources. It will just, you guys are like trying to be the Google of the internet for floor people.
Yeah, we're gonna have a master calendar that's gonna have. I mean, when this thing is up and running and COVID is gone and we're not worried about social distancing, I can see us having 5 or 6 classes around the country every week.
Okay.
So I mean that's the magnitude of the idea of NAFCT. It's not just us, a couple of guys getting together saying we're going to train some folks. We've got the big boys behind us. We've got the manufacturers involved, and we're ready to get this going and get it out there. And we want to make it affordable and accessible. Those are the two key words we talk about all the time when we try to talk about our classes: affordable and accessible. Because like you said before, if you go to a class that's 3 or 4 days long and you've got to fly out to California, you've got a plane ticket, then you've got to stay in a hotel for 3 or 4 nights. That's $500 or $600. You got to rent a car. You got to eat. Then you missed about $2,000 worth of work. I mean, it turns out to be a $5,000 certification
Correct.
that you got. I wonder why more people don't do it. And I say that sarcastic every single time, and I mean it. But that's why people don't do it, because it's just cost prohibitive.
Well, so I'm with you. Okay. I totally agree. But I think there's something about leaving your area and having to go take a class that you won't get if you take a multiple day class locally. Like if you can put on a 1-day workshop or a 1-day cert, I'm all for it. But when it turns into a multiple day event and everyone's leaving and going home to their spouses and kids at night, you're going to lose something that happens at these classes, because it's when you get together after hours that the magic happens. Just like we talked about before, right? Like that's when you're going to go and you're going to have some drinks, you're going to have your cigar, you're going to sit down, you're going to talk shop, you're going to build those relationships, because it doesn't happen while everyone's in class learning. Like it does a little bit, but it's what
Right.
happens after hours. And so
No,
I hate to say it,
would
like
agree with that. Yeah.
at least if you can go one state over and it's a little cheaper, like maybe you can drive, or in California, man, right? You could drive 3 hours north and you're away from home. But there's definitely something to it.
No, I see that. I mean, we talked about that, and I agree with that 100%. It's the time outside the class. It's the time outside of the meeting that you're having. That's where you build those relationships. So yeah, I can see that for sure.
All right. I don't know. Did we cover it?
I think we did. I can't think of any other talking points that we have that we didn't cover.
Okay. Well, Paul's going to listen, and I'm sure he's going to yell at you for
He'll
something.
he'll critique me. He won't yell at me for anything. I promise you that. I'm just kidding, Paul. No, it's I think we covered everything. Just looking to see on the website if there's anything. And one thing we didn't really talk about is the Heat Weld Flash Cove certification. That's something that we started before we made it a trade association.
Yep.
And we had a class up in Aliquippa, up at Ardex in Aliquippa in February, pre-COVID. And just the amount of knowledge that Mike Pigeon and Daniel Gonzalez gave that class was amazing. So it's really turning into a lost art. There's a few guys on social media who make it look easy, but really it's not. You need to know what you're doing. And that's something else that we want to make sure that we get out before it's too late.
No, I agree, but you don't need to pump up Daniel's head. He's good. He's good. Now, baby sister, you talk about Crystal all you want.
Yeah, baby sister is awesome. She ended up being the best person in the class. She was awesome. She's actually in the picture I'm looking at right now on our website. She was awesome. I got to meet them, both of them, and Jose as well at FCICA. It's just a good family, good people.
That they are, and I think they finally brought if I remember correctly, they finally brought the last sibling,
the other
in.
sister. Yep.
So it is officially it is family owned and operated, which is awesome. I think that's very cool what they got going on there. And they were the first sponsors of this show. So Preferred Flooring in Michigan, man, they're killing it. They're just they're giving back to what's given to them, and I think that's very respectable.
Oh yeah, another great story. Just giving back. No, they're good people.
Well, I think anybody that finds any amount of success in this industry is going to do that. It's hard not to. Like you can make a very healthy living from multiple aspects of this industry, and I think most people are very easygoing, willing to share their knowledge, things like that, and so it's easy to give back when everything was given to you, and that was the example that was set from the beginning.
Right.
All right. What's the website? So yeah, that's something we didn't cover. Where can they find NAFCT?
Yeah, sure. It's at NAFCT.com. NAFCT.com.
Man, that's easy.
So if you have any questions, you can email Paul at NAFCT.com or Sarah, SARAH, at NAFCT.com, and either one of them will be able to help you.
Okay. And if somebody wants to reach out to you, I don't know why they would, but if they did, how do they get Sonny?
Well, if they want to get Sonny, you can always call me on my cell. That's the easiest way, which is area code 407-383-6446. Again, it's 407-383-6446. Just remember, I'm East Coast and I go to bed early. If I can answer it, I will. If I don't, I'll call you back later.
There you go. Otherwise, it's Sonny at NAFCT.com, correct?
Correct.
All right. Awesome. You know what? The longer I do this show, the more I notice people in this industry just don't care about giving out their phone number. And it just goes on the internet and anyone can, they're just like, yeah, call me. Like, yeah, man, that's crazy. I guess it's because we all have businesses. And so our phone number's already out there everywhere. If I remember correctly, I heard recently that your phone number is on the Divergent buckets to like call for help.
Yes, sir.
So it's already out in the world everywhere anyways. What's it matter, right?
I want to make sure that installer, if they got a question, they call me before they start, not after.
Probably a good time, not in the middle of putting a board in. Oh, awesome. All right, Sonny, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the insights. I appreciate what you and Paul are trying to do for the industry.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. I enjoyed it, and sorry it took so long to get this together.
No. Look, everything happens for a reason, so I think it's perfect timing.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Enjoy your evening.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
You too. Bye. That's all the time we have for this week. To keep the conversation going, head on over to the Floor Academy Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and most major podcast directories. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you would like to be a guest, have questions or feedback, you can email us at flooracademypodcast@gmail.com. You can help support the show by becoming a patron over at www.patreon.com/flooracademy. Remember to learn while you earn.